And so, what out of that technology are you embracing, and how you are doing that? Besides team sharing, because
Right.
when it's tsunami like this that's coming nowadays, people get just overwhelmed with the amount of information, with the amount of tools which appear every day.
Yeah.
What do you use, and how do you use them?
Well, in terms of accounting, we use every system out there. So if a client is using a certain accounting software, if we don't know it, we learn it. If we do know it, we evaluate how they're using it. And if something's not broke, we don't fix it. So, we'll stick with it until it doesn't work. In terms of other technology, I think that probably 5 to 10% of my time now is exploring technology, right?
Okay.
Trying to, yeah, it is like, you have to learn, you have to keep growing. So personally and professionally, we use Claude, we use ChatGPT. We're working with people to develop faster ways to do things in our industry.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Reframe First. I'm Oleksij, the host of the podcast, and let me welcome our today's guest, Dawn Reshen-Doty. Dawn is CEO of Benay Enterprises. Hi Dawn, it's great having you here.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining. From what I've checked from your profile, first it's like old family business, and you mentioned before the recordings that it will be 40 years now this year.
40 years, it goes by fast.
Yeah. And you basically picked it up from your father, and you run it since 2010. And besides that, you're also a publisher at For Beginners Books. And besides that, you're president and running the Pantheon Sports Financial Management Company. So could you tell us about what you built, first of all, at Benay Enterprises, and how do you keep up with all of that?
Right. So, like you, I don't sleep. So it's easy. When you don't sleep, you can work all the time. So Benay so people know, we do bookkeeping on steroids, right? So we
Yeah.
handle all the back office business functions that people need. So that's accounts payable, receivable, HR, payroll, benefits, then really robust financial reporting and recording. And what sort of keeps us going and makes it interesting is that we get to be part of 40, 50 different companies, right? So we partner with our clients. So we learn about their businesses, learn about best practices, bring our advice and acumen to it. And that's really exciting. Most people can't run 40 or 50 businesses. So,
Yeah.
but we get to, tangentially touch them and be part of hopefully their success. So I enjoy that. Every day is different. Our team, if you don't like to multitask, if you don't like to, switch hats within moments, being part of our team is not a good fit. If you like to pivot and explore new things very quickly, it is a great position. So this morning I was on a call with a client that's a nonprofit, has gone over a certain threshold, now needs auditing services. And our client team manager said, I haven't done this part of the work before. This is exciting. So that's a great team member. That's a great ethos for us, that we want to learn and grow. And we're not afraid of pivoting or being rocked back on our heels occasionally by the learning curve. So that has kept the business growing and thriving 40 years. And I love that.
Awesome. Switching hats also and multitasking. This is my job. This is what I do every day.
Right. Right. Some people might say psychotic. That's true, but yeah, we call it multitasking and switching hats.
Yeah, that's stressful sometimes,
Yeah, it
but you
is.
need to get used to that. 40 to 50 companies. How do you run that? It's intensive, I guess.
It is. It's you do create structure. Like I think I'm in person a laid back person, humorous, fun, but you really have to have structure, right?
Yeah.
So how you onboard clients, how you focus on things. So we use a lot of technology. I started to say that we're really a technology company that does bookkeeping and accounting, because in today's world, unless you're using the tools that are out there to organize things, to memorialize tasks and requirements, so you can not only onboard your clients, but onboard staff, right? You've got to be embracing technology. So I've always felt that technology was a wave. You can either dive into it and ride it, or it's gonna be a tsunami just pushing you down and down and down. And those are companies that don't survive. So, for example, at Benay, we have a very quick Monday morning meeting where we talk about best practices and what people have learned and asking them to share. So it's not enough if you learn a tool or a trick to make your job simpler, you got to share it with the entire team. And then people have a chance to sort of riff on that, right? Well, I found this and I found that. So we use a lot of technology. I always say we're agnostic when it comes to technology. Whatever the client is using, we're going to
Yeah.
use. And we have to have a culture of embracing and learning technology and evaluating it so that we can do better and we can also advise our clients. So I think to your original question, technology is paramount to organizing it, having structure, having SOP, standard operating procedures, how we do things. That's really key.
I see. So, talking about technology, since we already touched this topic, we have a huge tsunami nowadays. And so, what out of that technology are you embracing, and how you are doing that? Besides team sharing, because
Right.
when it's tsunami like this that's coming nowadays, people get just overwhelmed with the amount of information, with the amount of tools which appear every day.
Yeah.
What do you use and how do you use them?
Well, in terms of accounting, we use every system out there. So if a client is using a certain accounting software, if we don't know it, we learn it. If we do know it, we evaluate how they're using it. And if something's not broke, we don't fix it. So, we'll stick with it until it doesn't work. In terms of other technology, I think that probably 5 to 10% of my time now is exploring technology, right?
Okay.
Trying to yeah, it is like, you have to learn, you have to keep growing. So personally and professionally, we use Claude, we use ChatGPT. We're working with people to develop faster ways to do things in our industry. So, right now we have a lot of clients who use QuickBooks,
Yeah.
and QuickBooks, garbage in, garbage out. That's how we get clients, right? If you put garbage
It
in, you're
is.
going to get garbage out, right? So, and that's how we get a lot of clients. They'll come to us or their CPAs and they say, you got to clean up the books here. And the client says, but I've been using QuickBooks. And like, no, it's been using you. So, that's how we learn. But trying to figure out smarter, faster ways to do things. So, and have technology that speaks to one another. So a lot of the accounting software is still in the AI beta mode. And so we've been using it for a long time, and there's still things it can't do. So we're trying to find ways to sort of seamlessly from point A to D get to where we need in the accounting process. So I have a team that's just looking at that. How do we not wait for technology, but create a way? Here's an example. So every month you get a utility bill, right?
Yeah.
And it probably, if you're smart, you don't get it in the mail anymore. It's emailed to you, but it's sent to you it's available, right? So then you've got to log on to the site, download it, take that PDF, upload it to your accounting software, and then have it entered. What I'm trying to work on is
How to automate it. Yeah.
yeah, I want Claude to go in on its own, pull that invoice, upload it to the accounting software, and put it in for processing.
And
So
scan it properly. Yeah.
but not just scan it, but to the time it takes for me to get an email, log on to it,
Yeah.
upload it, save it, put it in, multiply that across all our clients. We have some clients who have multiple locations. So maybe they have 5 utility bills and then 5 phone bills and 5 and exponentially. That's a time suck, right?
Yeah.
So all of that is like cuts. death by 1,000 cuts. So if you add up that time, and time is money, right? I keep telling my team, time is money. So if we can find all of these time saving ways that are technologically accurate and implement them, then what do we do with that time?
Yeah.
We do client facing things that reinforce our brand, reinforce our authority in our field, and show value to the client. So that's what I want to do at the time. And for the client, what do they do with the time? I always say to them, with the extra time you get from our expertise, the value is in what would you do with it? So would you grow your business? Would you spend more time with your kids? Whatever you decide, but that's how you figure out the value in what we do. So I'm always thinking about technology and using it, and it's very exciting. I mean, again, you have to embrace it and figure out what can it do for you and what can it still not do. Like I think, the technology we use, it can't provide a collaborative forum, right? So Claude or ChatGPT or Anthropic is not going to raise its hand and say, "I found a better way." It'll give you a couple of options, but it's not that give and take that goes on in a collaborative setting. So that's where humans are still really so far humans are still
So far,
really
so far.
good so far, still really good at it. And it also doesn't have discernment, right? So that comes from a long career and a lot of experience. Now, I know that experiential learning should change that, but discernment, it's not there. So there's still value to what I'm doing because I can discern what works and what doesn't work. But I'm trying to keep ahead of technology so that I'm still, of value to society and to my clients.
Yeah, that's great. In my subjective opinion, you're doing very right thing because like some of the people I'm chatting with, some of business owners, they're still waiting for this bright and shiny AI tool that will fix everything. And the tools, they like new tools appear every day, so it's like it's not possible to get the best one because like in a month there will be another one. And in my subjective opinion, the right approach is to just save all these small repetitive tasks, small repetitive time losses by just implementing the right small I don't know AI agents that are in place to just help you while you can spend your time like working and building personal relationships with your customers. Who is doing that on your end? Is it you or do you have the team for that?
It's me spearheading it, definitely. And I'm
Okay.
also working with some outside consultants who have much greater understanding
Yeah.
of AI platforms and capabilities. So um, I'm saying this is what I want. I'm explaining the process and what we want to get to. And it's going to be baby steps. I view our use of AI sort of like the cavemen. They had a stick and they would use the stick to stab an ant and put it in their mouth, right? And then
Yeah.
at some point, like the stick split and they were like, "Oh, okay, I could do it twice." And then somehow we got a fork, right? So I know that we're still at the like stabbing the ant and try to get it on there to eat it, but I have confidence. And I think that because I work with young people, I'm the oldest person in my company, and I have young people around me, children, they're constantly telling me, you can do better, you can learn more. So I think that I see two types of businesses, people that are full out embracing it, and then I see in two different, gradations and then people who are terrified, right? They don't want to know. So it seems so alien to them and they're just going to stick with what they've done. And I can see that those businesses, like a bunch of runners in a race, they're falling to the back of the pack, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that they don't value, but they're not doing what it takes to stay with the pack. And so that's really important. So I've never been somebody who likes the back of the line. So I want to, stay in the race, but you cannot learn, as you said, things are changing hourly, daily. So you have to find people who understand what you're trying to garner from technology and who can help you in a really educational manner, not just a quick fix. Here's a tool, it'll do this.
Yeah.
You want to work with people who understand the gestalt of it. What are we doing? So the same type of service we offer that is a whole vision of understanding your business, I want to work with people who are understanding the whole of my business and not only solving a problem, but making sure that we avoid roadblocks and that we can even do things we weren't aware of. But it's exciting, it's terrifying. There's definitely a learning curve, and I'm lucky that I think because in our industry, accounting is much just more than numbers, right? It's more than just paying bills and sending out invoices. And we want to learn what is the much more, the value added part of it.
Regarding the value added, we've noticed that you added recently financial modeling, valuation, parts to your business. Is it for the value added part of your business?
It is value added.
Something on top, because basic accounting probably will be able to be fixed by AI tools soon.
Yeah, but remember, a lot of business owners are really good at what they do.
Yep.
And they're not good at anything else, right? So, and if they're not accustomed to using the tools, so they won't know how to create what it is that will give them the information they need. So, for example, I think AI, I don't think, I know, and we all know AI is going to like decimate industries, right? That were there. So, for example, we had a client that got an outside valuation. They weren't a client, they got an outside valuation and then came to us. And I'm sure that that costs like $6,000 or $7,000. It took all this time. I know with AI that we or other firms could have just taken historical information with the correct prompts and information given, done that. So that is something that we might upsell, but not to the extent of people who do that. And I'm worried for those people who have businesses built on that because AI can do that so quickly. I've seen it. So that's what somebody did years ago because they didn't have the tools. We all didn't have the tools. Would take them weeks and manipulating and Excel sheets and pivot tables and everything else. You can literally take the historical data and give it the information on where you want to go, look at other industries, look at competitors. By the end of the day, you have that now, right? So that's value added because our clients don't either have the time or the knowledge to do that, and we do have the staffing that can do it, and that's what sets us apart from other firms. So that when you come to Benay, you can get all of these tools, all of these services, and it's also what keeps clients with us, right? They know that we will keep growing and grow with them and vice versa, so that they don't have to go out and every 2 years find somebody who knows how to do it better. We're going to keep doing it better. I always say if you exceed expectations, you don't have to worry about client retention. You will always keep a client. And that's how we have clients of 34 years, 25 years, 20 years, because we exceed their expectations and we're also learning on their behalf.
Yeah, totally hear you. We also, our average customer age is 5 to 10 years, so it's result of the quality of service you provide.
Yeah, I mean, people are always going to hang out bells and whistles to get their attention. But if you're providing quality services and communicating and always expressing the value of what you're doing. So it's that low touch, high touch, right? Low touch is doing the work. High touch is like, hey, do you know we did this for you? Or hey, do you know this exists? I know you don't have the time, but we're letting you know we're your educational team. People just won't move on. They'll stay with you.
Because we care. With regards to, you touched the topic that AI can do a lot with proper data. You at Benay have a lot of data, probably for 40 years of
We
operation.
do, yeah.
Have a lot of data, and the data is the most important nowadays, because with AI, it's what we call shit in, shit out, garbage in, garbage out. So
That's
AI is
right.
just like what it uses. What
Mhm.
definitely build something on top of that, like some proper extrapolations, reports, valuation for financial models.
Mhm.
If you have the data, how like from X you got Y, and AI can repeat it for a new business, for new X, for X2.
Yeah.
Do you build something around that? Are you digging into that direction yet? Because
We are
it is complicated. It's not simple, but
right.
it's
That is something that our team doesn't have. You have to know your lane, right?
Yeah.
So that's the big thing. So we find people who know that and can assist us. So I'm not going to re-educate, a master's degree for, some of our employees to learn something that there are people who know how to do it and can
Yep.
help us. And then we learn from them. But definitely, I think that besides us wanting to stay ahead of the game, we want our clients to stay ahead of the game and stay in business, right? So it costs time and money to, get clients and they go out of business or they sell or whatever. You want to see them grow and stay with you. But I think there are people out there who can assist Benay behind the scenes, but it's much faster and cheaper and easier than it used to be. And part of the education is learning prompts, learning how to direct AI, right? So that's the key thing that we have to know for our clients that it's not just the data dump, but it's actually explaining what we want from AI. It's like the government, trust but verify, right? I'm going to trust that, Claude's going to do what I want, but I'm going to verify the shit out of it. So because, that's my name on it, right?
You can have another Claude that verifies the first one.
Exactly. Well, I know, for example, one of our consultants that, their AI is now collaborating, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, so, I'm going to be like I'm going to collaborate as well. I'm going to copy all the best practices. So, if Anthropic and two or three other companies are now creating these super AI models where they collaborate, I want to jump in on that.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I'm doing for my own projects.
Mhm.
Instead of using just AI agent, I have like mainly agent which is orchestrator and that does the job, and then the second
Right.
agent that verifies the job
I
and
know.
loop them until they are done, and only
Right.
then present me the results.
Right. And that's so much better because if you gave that to a team, they'd feel like laying on the floor, with the overdosed on caffeine, halfway through the project. But you can set it on the task and go out and have a good time with the guys.
Yeah, for sure. Go get some coffee
Exactly. You can
while
be
the
as
agentic team is
caffeinated.
working.
Yes. That's it. Yeah.
Awesome. Don, regards Benay, regards your clients, what are the most repetitive problems that they are coming to you with?
I think the most repetitive well there
Of
go
our
ahead.
finance files and
Yeah, so that's not the sexy part of it. I think that nowadays it's paying bills, but it's really more than that because that's a process, right? It's getting bills, verifying the accuracy of the bills, entering the bills, paying it through a financial institution, securing that what is being presented back to the financial institution is really what you want. So that's a huge process, the security of it, and then the audit part, because we have a lot of nonprofits. So you want to make sure
yeah,
that there are checks and balances. So it's not that one person just puts in a bill and it's paid, but that it's got to be authenticated, reviewed, authorized, go through a process, and then making sure that what comes back through when it's presented for payment from the bank or the financial institution, it's what we paid. So that has become a lot more cumbersome and time consuming. But the larger the client, the larger the exposure, the more important it is. Like we had a client the other day, we use a positive pay that a bank says these checks were presented or these ACHs are wired, authenticate them. And there was $100,000 check there that we had not written. The client hadn't written. And so we looked and said, no, that's fraud. So I
yeah,
think setting up the systems to avoid fraud, both externally and internally, is time consuming. And the clients that don't have, well, businesses that don't have that are really vulnerable. And then making sure our clients understand the value of that. And that time goes into it, right? So we can be our own worst enemy. We make the magic happen. It's so wonderful. And then when we say, well, we need a raise, they're like, but it happens so easily. What do you
it
need more
works.
money for, right? So they're like, well, this is everything we do that we don't tell you about so that you can, run your business. I think that process where the internal hits the external and has to be verified on a financial scope that takes a lot of time for us and for businesses, as any business as well. Does that
So
make sense? Yeah.
yeah. It sounds like your clients outsource you all the day-to-day small financial, these operations, bills, and
Everything.
utilities, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you provide them some kind of financial security, financial audit of what's happening if they are not paying
Yeah.
the fraud bills. I
Well,
want that. Yeah.
we make them pay attention. So you cannot, as a business owner, you should not abdicate your responsibilities, right? You
Uh-huh.
can't give it to anyone, whether it's the bookkeeper sitting next to you or it's a company. That's a recipe for disaster and fraud. So again, trust but verify,
Yeah.
so that we make sure our clients are seeing multiple reports. They're CPAs, financial advisors. We have a monthly meeting to go over always comparative financials. So it's funny. People say to me, "Why do you want to compare this year to last year, this month to last year?" That's where you see aberrations. So, and I've seen fraud over the years where people just dump a large sum of money that they've taken out into a category that's always big, right? So that if you don't look at it this year versus last year and you go, "Why did it go up 10,000? Our utility went up by $10,000?" So, no, somebody put in a payment to themselves and coded it to utilities, right? So we try and be that first, threshold of security, but then the client has to know and understand the business themselves. You cannot abdicate responsibility for financial acumen, and we're happy to teach it, but you just can't do it.
It sounds to me like somebody put extra 10K into utilities. It sounds to me like Anomaly and Anomaly detections.
Yep.
They also
But
have something
seeing
in
it is
place.
the anomaly, sure. It is anomaly detection, but it only works if somebody's looking at it, right? So it'll report there's an anomaly, but if you keep going forward, like, okay, whatever, that happens. So, for example, we knew of a business, they weren't a client, where every month the reporting was late. So the bookkeeper did everything late, and they had a payroll number, just like a payroll number. And the person never missed a day of work. They were always there. So the person broke their leg. They had somebody else come in, and when they looked at a deep dive of the total payroll, they saw that there were people on there that didn't work for the company. They were related to the person, to the bookkeeper, right? So it's really looking at that for anomalies, but then bringing it to the business owner's attention, because the anomaly could be, oh, we just invested in new technology, or we didn't realize that the CPUs were sucking the energy out of, our electrical bill. It's discernment of why and how things are increasing or decreasing, and then educating the client so they can say, next time we make a big technology purchase, we have to realize it's not just the investment, it's everything else that comes from that.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned one right thing, that somebody needs to look into that. So I guess that's the role of Benay to watch and monitor such things.
Yeah.
If I was like running a software company, if I ever was this kind of field, what would help you a lot? What would save your time, your client's time, if you were about? I'm not selling anything,
No, I know. That's it. Yeah, this is
I'm exploring options for myself
well,
basically.
so that first project that we're working on that I talked about is having a way of AI securely knowing for like utilities, phone bills, things that are not unsecured, being able to go in, retrieve information, and seamlessly move it across platforms, right? That would be tremendous. I don't think just for accounting and bookkeeping, but for so many other things, right? And there must be technology out there that does it. If you mentioned the travel industry, I'm sure that airlines must have some sort of technology that moves from the ticketing process to boarding passes to, so it takes some information, puts it into some other form, and moves it back to the end users.
Yeah.
But why is that not being utilized for my industry? Does that make sense to you?
It does. Like I can explain because airline companies have their own proprietary technology and tools that they use. In terms of finance, you work with your clients, but they do work with banks, with I don't know governmental institutions, with all these utility companies, and everything is different. They're kind of dinosaurs there.
Right.
And there is not so much technology. You mentioned that it's not coming via mail; it comes via email. It's already great.
Right. It is. It is. So, I mean, I think, for example, the keyword there is proprietary, right?
Proprietary.
Everybody is holding on to it so that only they have it. But for the end user, it's a cluster, right? So they're like, you've got all these different applications that are sucking the time out of you when there could be something somewhat seamless. So, that's something I'd love to see. And people are working on it. There's bill pay, there's Tipalti, there are all these things, but I wonder sometimes what their R&D is, right? Who they're asking and who they're building it for.
Yeah.
So, because they're only building a little bit of it for me and a little bit of it for you, as opposed to building it all for all of us. So,
We still enter this information manually because there is no other way right now.
right.
See it. Are there like repetitive tasks with regards to businesses not seeing their own numbers? So they got sales, they got turnovers, they understand they're making some profits, but they have no clue where the profits are coming and what's driving the expenses. Is it repetitive or is it not?
I think that, so for example, I would use QuickBooks as an example because a lot of businesses use QuickBooks. QuickBooks has many different reporting capabilities, but only if you set it up, right? So what we do, and you can see a lot of this information, but if you don't have numbers as your background, you don't know what you're trying to create, right? So the first thing we do, whether somebody becomes a client or not, is when we go into their QuickBooks, I just create all these custom reports because it makes me crazy. So, because I want everybody to see their income statement, their balance sheet, cash flow statements. It's geekily fun for me to do that. And then it's sort of like a gift, like, here you go. This is what you need. And they're like, wow, I didn't know I could see all of this. So, because it's like having those, blocks, and somebody just dumps a bunch of blocks in front of you. And then somebody then comes and builds this great tower. And you're like, I didn't know you could do that with it. I thought they were just blocks. So the systems that are out there still, there's no like cheat sheet on like this is what it can do. And I think that's why people who understand the systems can go in and make everything happen, the magic. And then other people are like, well, I put in everything, I put in all the information. Where's the output? So they don't know how to make the output happen. So I think that education, and I don't know, maybe these companies, they only want to give so much to the end user and then they're expecting you to figure it out. But I don't think that's really showing value. You're leaving it on the table, right? You could become the system that no one ever leaves if you could show everyone how to do everything, see what they need to see.
Yeah. 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 I see. Well, what prevents you from growing nowadays even further? You're 40 years in business and you got lots of clients. Probably you got a lot of references from one client to another.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what stops you from growing further?
So
Or
it's
are you
it's
just fine in this size?
no, no, I'm fine. Yeah. No, I mean, so I think I have that sort of Western business attitude. If you're not growing, you're dying, right? So that's it. And there's something to be said with, being happy and content with where you're at. But as expenses go up, clients come and go, they sell their business, they die in the business, they leave you, they're unhappy today. You always want to have potential clients in the pipeline. So that's important. The same thing that helps us succeed also holds us back, right? So I think technology and education. You want people who are mature and professional, and you want people who are open to learning. That is not always the same thing, right? So I am sure over the years that I don't know how many people will see this podcast, but I've said like, will, I will bend or break them to my will. Like they have to learn the way we do it, right? So on the human part, it's being open to learning and doing new things and having a basic education level that can do that, right? And also being willing to multitask and pivot. Like we've hired people over the years and they come in and they're like, I'm really good at this. I'm like, yeah, but I need you to do this and this and this and learn and that. And they're overwhelmed, right? But the staff that we have that are with us 10, 15, 25 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
They can be like their head is on a spinning around and they're not dizzy because they can go from one task to another. They can learn, they can move all around and still keep focused. So on the human side, to find people who can learn and grow, but who also understand the value of our clients and they're mature enough to be professional, right? So finding those people, putting in the time, that takes time. So that keeps us from growing. Like the staff I have, we've got about 16 people right now. And if I could clone them, we just keep growing, right? So they
Yeah.
are incredible. It's if you throw something at them, they're like, more. They never say too much. They say more, which I love. Like I always say don't use the word no. So, you could say, let me figure out how to do something or what can I take off my plate to do that, but don't say the word no. We can't, I don't know, any of those negative connotations. Technology wise, the same thing. I'm looking and exploring for technology that can help us work faster, better. And so many times you go down the rabbit hole and you're like, no, that's just not going to work.
Yeah.
It only does 80% of what I needed to do, but that 20% is really important. So now we got to keep going through it. So some cloud technology works really great, but it's not robust enough. Some desktop technology is super robust, but it can't take stuff from the cloud that we need because we're locked into our servers and networks for security purposes. So the same things that are helping us to grow are keeping us from growing. So,
I
but
see.
yeah,
But mostly it's personnel questions.
it's
So
always
it's hard to
personnel.
find great
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
It is, yeah, and like you keep doing whatever you can. So to make them happy. So that's the thing. I think when you find somebody who's super smart, it doesn't matter what they're like, right?
Yeah.
So I have a staff that is so different. Some people, it looks like they're working in a cave, right? If you're on Zoom with them, like it's dark, they've got a hoodie on. I should make sure that somebody brings in the water and the gruel today to them, and that's it. So, and they're just pushing out information. They don't want to talk. They don't want to do anything. And
They
they're
work
happy.
with numbers, not with
Numbers, yeah,
people.
exactly. But then I have some people, they're like, they want to tell me about their day and their family and their kids and their like things like they want to talk. And you have to, as an employer, go, okay, I can leave alone the people who want to be left alone, but try and intuit what they need. And then the people who like want that high touch all the time, the reinforcement, the yay, good job, do that too. And figuring out as the head of a company, which you wear every hat, how to be the person that everyone needs. That's hard too. That's 40 years of experience and you don't always get it right.
Absolutely. One more question would be, I've heard a lot recently about the trend of fractional professionals, fractional C4, like in your case, probably. And it seems like this trend has a chance to grow further because with recent trends, advancements in technology, this talks about one person unicorn. So it's not there yet, but small teams can accomplish really a lot and they want to be focused on what they do. And tasks like take care of my finance probably will be like one of the will align with this kind of trend. So do you see this trend growing? Because you quite likely see it over 40 years of operations that sometimes people wanted businesses to have everything in house, and probably nowadays it should be trendy. So do you see this trend?
Definitely. I mean, so I always say like we were remote before remote was cool. We've been remote for 40 years.
Yeah.
So, And I think that all of our clients have been forward thinking, going, yeah, I only need 30% of this. And
Yeah.
I don't need somebody sitting at a desk next to me out on maternity, paternity, sick days. And also, I don't want to be locked in that if that person leaves, I have no business, right? I don't
Uh-huh.
have any historical information. So if I can outsource it and save all that time and get a greater level of expertise
Yeah.
and pay less and get a firm that's learning, growing, acquiring best practices and sharing, why wouldn't I do it? And so what we've always been doing, I think people are catching on, and I still get referrals, and I talk to the person and they're like, "Yeah, so you're gonna come to our business?" I'm like, "Nope. I have a client of 20 years I've met twice. Once when he came over from England and we signed all the papers, and then once when he came back for their 10th anniversary and said, 'Good job, I'll see you in another 10 years.'" Yeah, so that's like it. Why? So they're external CFOs, back office in the US, they're UK and multinational company. So it makes sense that you want to find the best, and if the best is remote or fractional, then you should do it. And so I think that the world is catching up to us, right? So and since COVID, definitely, right? That
Yeah.
everyone realizes the fractional nature. There are problems. Let go of somebody, I think, who had another job because I couldn't see them all the time,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? But our team, we work as a team. So the team could see that this person was not producing. And so there's a good part of it and a bad part. So you have to trust but verify. If you're hiring somebody to be fractional remote, make sure you've got that constant touch that they're performing. And that's financial reporting, things like that. But I would not, all our staff is virtual now, right? We still have a headquarters in Connecticut where we have a physical person for mail and sending out things, but otherwise our staff is all over the US and even outside of the country. Staff who trained by me have moved back home overseas. But yeah, that's the nature of it. How we deal with it, the biggest problem I'll tell you is team building. Very hard to build a team when everyone is on a screen somewhere else.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
care how many games and parties and things you do, you just don't have that touch, that knowledge of them that you do from hanging out. Yesterday, I hung out at a trade show with one of my team that's been with me for 28 years, right?
Yeah. I've
We
seen
just,
the photo on
yeah,
LinkedIn.
yeah, we had the best time. Like it wasn't even about like getting clients. We got a client, but it was about like being together and riffing off. We know each other, right? So, and that is really hard in this new world. You don't get to know people as well. But I think in terms of services, being a service provider and accessing other service providers, it's the way to go.
Awesome. Awesome, Don. That was a really great discussion. Before we wrap it up, is there anything else you would like to add on top of that?
No, I'm so excited to have the opportunity. So to talk to another business owner wearing multiple hats, and I think that's really key, right? So even if we're remote and sort of in our own silos, to learn from other people. And so I'm always open to that. So thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, this is why I'm running this. It's getting out of the box and of your bubble and chatting with people
Yeah.
and learning new ideas. So thanks a lot for coming and thanks a lot for this great discussion.
Thank you.